Okay, so what would happen if you sent someone who's convinced the Earth is flat on a trip all the way around it? Well, that's the wild idea behind this social experiment we're going to break down today. The whole point was to see if a real-world, first-hand journey could change a really deeply held belief. But, as you're about to see, this trip took a turn that absolutely no one saw coming.
So this is the guy at the center of it all. His name is Chris. He's a yoga teacher from Sydney. And this quote, it really tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. For Chris, this isn't some fringe theory. Nope. To him, it's a fundamental truth that most of us just haven't woken up to yet.
All right, so here's the setup. A YouTuber named Jack Gordon finds Chris on a Flat Earth forum, and he makes him a pretty incredible offer, an all-expenses-paid 7-day flight around the world. The idea was simple, right? Fly in one direction, keep going, and you'll eventually arrive back where you started. That's supposed to be direct, personal proof that the Earth is a sphere. And this, right here, this breaks down the whole conflict perfectly. You've got Jack on one side, who's thinking this journey is the ultimate, undeniable proof. And then you've got Chris on the other side, who's just as convinced that this exact same trip is finally going to confirm everything he already believes is true. You've got two guys, one trip, with completely opposite expectations.
And this was the whirlwind itinerary they set up. They'd start in Sydney, then hop over to LA, Paris, Dubai, and then Chengdu before finally heading back home. Each and every stop was supposed to be another piece of the puzzle, a new chance to observe, to debate, and maybe, just maybe, change your mind.
But here's the thing. To really get how Chris is seeing this journey, we have to understand the map he's using in his head, because it is definitely not the globe we all learned about in school. It's something else entirely.
So check this out. In Chris's model, the North Pole is dead center of a flat disk. All the continents we know are just arranged around it. And Antarctica? That's not a continent at the bottom of the world, no. It's a gigantic ice wall that runs around the entire outer edge of the disk, holding in all the oceans like the rim of a giant plate. You got to keep this image in your head because every single thing he sees is filtered through this lens.
And this quote right here shows you that for Chris, this is about so much more than just geography. He's basically saying that to actually believe the Earth is flat, you also have to accept that pretty much every powerful institution you can think of, governments, NASA, the media, they're all in on this huge, coordinated conspiracy to lie to all of us.
All right, now let's get into the part of the trip where Chris was actively looking for evidence. The first two big stops, Paris and Dubai, were all about one thing and one thing only. Get as high up as possible and try to spot the curve of the Earth. So in Paris, the plan was to use the Eiffel Tower as the perfect vantage point. But you could tell the non-stop travel was already wearing him down. And then, just as Chris gets to the top, ready for this crucial observation, the whole view gets completely swallowed by fog. Talk about a frustrating start.
But before that fog rolled in, Chris did make an observation that's pretty central to a lot of flat Earth arguments. He noticed that no matter how high up you go, the horizon always seems to rise up to meet your eye level. And to him, that just doesn't make sense on a giant curving ball.
Then, on the way to Dubai, just seeing a waterfall sparked another one of his core arguments. Chris starts questioning how these massive oceans can just stick to the outside of a spinning ball. You know, to him, water always finds its level and it needs a container. And in his model, that container is the giant Antarctic ice wall.
So this was it, the big moment. They're in Dubai, at the Burj Khalifa, the tallest man-made structure on the entire planet. I mean, if you're going to see the curvature of the Earth with your own two eyes from anywhere, this has to be the place, right? So, what did he see?
The answer? Nothing. Chris looked out and saw a perfectly flat horizon. And he had his explanation all ready to go. He argued that our vision isn't limited by the Earth's curve at all. It's limited by atmospheric density. Basically, the air just gets too thick over long distances, which creates the illusion of a horizon line.
Now, Jack, the YouTuber, he had actually done the math on this. He calculated that from the top of the Burj Khalifa, the amount of visible curvature from one side of the horizon to the other should be about 123 meters. That's roughly 4 feet. It's a subtle drop, for sure, but it should be there. For Chris, though, the atmospheric density idea was just a more compelling explanation for what he saw, or, what he didn't see.
Okay, so let's move on to the final stop in China, because this is where the conversation completely shifts away from physical proof and dives deep, I mean really deep, into the worldview that holds all of this together for Chris.
In Chengdu, things got really tough.
Chris found himself totally isolated. No internet, no money, no way to communicate. And it seems like that feeling of being so disconnected from everything really pushed his thoughts beyond just the shape of the Earth and into what he started calling the Matrix.
And this is what he meant by that. He started explaining this much bigger conspiracy theory, a belief that the world is secretly run by occultists, that the English language itself is a tool for casting spells on everybody, and that space, as we know it, is a total lie. It's just a dome over our heads with stars rotating on it. For him, the whole flat Earth thing, it's just one piece of this way bigger, more sinister puzzle.
So, after flying all the way around the world, after all the observations, all the debates, what was the final verdict? Did the experiment actually work? Let's get to the conclusion.
So, far from changing his mind, Chris felt like the trip actually confirmed his beliefs. He pointed to the flight path they took from Dubai to China. See, on his flat Earth map, that's a pretty straight line, but on a globe, it's a big curve. To him, the direct flight they were on just felt more consistent with his map. The journey itself became his final piece of proof.
And when he was asked to sum up what he really learned from all this, Chris didn't talk about geometry or physics. He talked about personal truth. For him, the most important thing you can do is trust your own senses and stay true to your own values, no matter what any outside authority tries to tell you.
And this might just be the most surprising part of the whole story. Jack, the guy who set up this entire experiment specifically to prove Chris wrong, had a total change of heart by the end. He started to wonder if being right was even the point anymore. He actually questioned if Chris's belief system, as out there as it is, might be the very thing that makes him happy.
And really, that's the question this whole journey leaves us with, isn't it? The experiment started as this simple test of fact versus belief, but it ended up somewhere way more complex. When a belief is tied so deeply to who a person is and what makes them happy, is trying to challenge it even the right thing to do? Is it possible that, in some cases, ignorance really is bliss? It's definitely something to think about.